All right, things have gotten even more interesting surrounding attempted Trump assassin, the attempted assassination of Trump. Um, let's bring up a little bit of a timeline. All right, and let me change that layout. There we go. All right, so here's a timeline. 5:10 p.m. Crooks first identified as a person of interest. 5:30 p.m. Crooks spotted with a rangefinder, which kind of looks like binoculars, so I wouldn't say that'd be immediately going, oh, take him down, but he would be marked as a high person of interest, a person of high interest. 5:52, so 40 minutes later, Crooks spotted on the roof by Secret Service. 6:02, Trump takes the stage. 6:12, Crooks shoots the fire, or Crooks shoots first shot. Crooks is then killed 26 seconds later. He, and unless I'm mistaken, which I'm fairly certain I'm not, he was also video or caught on camera, digital, whatever, the day before scoping out the area. So here's a quick video. Let me start over. Let's make it full screen. It's got sound. Yeah, it'd be good. A little bit of a three-dimensional graphical demonstration of what it would look like. There's the two different teams. Both of them trained on the same building, which is weird. There's a second story of the building behind the first story, which was laying on. It's still very, very interesting. There's whistleblowers that have come out, and of course it does that. Okay, dear Director Wray, the Committee on the Judiciary is conducting oversight of the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, and investigative actions taken by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, in advance of and following the shooting. Information provided to this committee raises serious questions about the thoroughness of the security planning by local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies in support of President Trump's campaign rally. Law enforcement overlooked a number of vulnerabilities prior to and during the event in Butler, Pennsylvania, allowing an assassin to shoot a president, murder an attendee, and critically wound two others. This tragedy demands a full, transparent investigation. After the Secret Service cleared the scene, the FBI immediately began an investigating the incident as an attempted assassin and suspected act of domestic terrorism, according to FBI Deputy Director Paul Abate. The FBI's Pittsburgh field office is leading the investigation with support of FBI headquarters. National Security Branch. Deputy Director Abate stated that the FBI will conduct a rapid investigation with maximum transparency. We'll see if this FBI office is any good. A lot of them seem to be very, very corrupt. Whistleblowers have disclosed to the committee that the Secret Service led two briefings regarding the July 13th campaign rally on July 8th with the Western Pennsylvania Fusion Center and other stakeholders to discuss the upcoming unrelated visits by President Trump and First Lady Jill Biden The Secret Service special agent in charge, Tim Burke, repeatedly told law enforcement partners that the Secret Service had limited resources that week because the agency was covering the NATO summit in Washington, D.C. FBI personnel were present at those briefings. While the committee recognizes that the FBI is one of many agencies represented in the WPFC, it is the lead federal investigative arm and a key source of intelligence in potential threats for special events in its area of responsibility. The committee has several unanswered questions about the failures that led to the attempted assassination of a president, the first in over 40 years, as well as the FBI's ability to conduct a rapid, transparent, and thorough investigation in the wake of its recent scandals. Accordingly, to ensure that the committee can effectively evaluate these matters during your testimony on July 24th, we request that you be prepared to fully address all questions about the attempted assassination of President Trump and the FBI's investigation of it. In particular, we expect our members to require information including, but not limited to, something. I can't read anything further on that. So it looks like there are whistleblowers coming out saying that there were problems even before Trump took stage. You can see on the timeline that he was spotted more than an hour before Trump took stage. Here's a shot of when Trump actually got hit by the bullet, which is kind of crazy. And some people still think it's a fake, even though there's video footage of him getting hit. I don't know. Okay, so there's a theory of there being more than one shooter. And this lady was sitting in the stands to the left of Trump. And she's going to explain what she thinks.
Okay, so I am going to try to explain in detail where I was in front of Trump and what happened to the left of Trump, which would have been to the right of me. First and foremost, let me show you how close I was to put it in perspective. So with Trump facing me, I was to his left, but I was pretty close up there. Now let me show you the bleachers to the left of Trump, but to the right of me. Okay, so there's the bleachers to the left of Trump right there, which was to the right of me. The unaliving happened to the bleachers on the far right side of Trump. I'm over on the far right or far left of Trump. These are the same bleachers.
So she's super confusing in how she's explaining it. So right about here-ish is where Trump is. She's in these stands. Cory Carpenter, he has a difficult last name. Sorry, he's dead. He is on the other side, way over here, in these other bleachers.
Just watch the top left. These are the same exact bleachers. These are to the left of Trump. Those shots came from the back. Now watch it in slow motion. They came from the back. Those bullets came from the back left of Trump. Now let me show you what happened after those shots were fired. That was on the left side of Trump, where people are saying that shots were fired from behind the bleachers, and you can clearly see them like telling Secret Service it's from over there. It came from over there, and you can see people looking from behind the bleachers. This timeline of events that I just showed you all came from the left of Trump on my side. I don't know what happened on Corey's side. I don't. And I'm so sorry for what happened to him, but he is not the man that I saw. He's not. Something happened on the left side of the event. And I'm tired of people gaslighting me. I'm tired of people telling me that I was in a panic and I can't think clearly and I have no idea what I remember. I do. I'm a mother. I had to be super aware of, and that's when I was like, oh my God, that I don't know what I'm talking about. Those two to the left of Trump. I promise you that. And you can hear people saying that the shooter's over there, the shooter's over there.
So I don't know if they heard the gunshot from that side, and that means that there's actually two shooters. One trying to take out Trump and one to confuse the entire situation. Maybe that's it. Robert Barnes thought that it was a botched mass chaos type of assassination where Trump gets taken out. Explosives happen in different places, different shooters shooting in different places, causing it to be so chaotic that no one can figure out anything that's happening. But I think because Thomas Crooks, when he got seen by the policeman that was boosted up by his partner, when that happened, he got freaked, hurried up, tried to line up a shot, hit Trump, and then the other shots that came in were like, oh shoot, try and make chaos, and it just kind of fell apart. I don't know, but this lady that was there was saying that on the bleachers on the opposite side of where Thomas Crooks was shooting from, they were hearing shots behind them. Maybe she was me, or they were hearing the ricochet ping from it hitting the bleachers when you saw that video. I don't know. Maybe it was the gunshot and there was someone behind there. We are not being given the entire story. That's about all I can say as of right now. Here is another video.
People in the field.
And let me restart that. I really like these 3D renderings to try and give a better understanding of the situation.
All right, pay attention. This is an illustration, and you'll see exactly where we think the shooter was. Trump was at the podium. Over there is where the people in the field, they were calling the police. They were telling Secret Service that there's a man on the roof.
So as you can see, he was on this roof. This is a second story building behind. Initially, Secret Service said the police were in there, but more recently, the police have come out and said that's a load of hooey. The police were only on traffic detail. That's it. They were not on anything else besides traffic detail. There weren't any counter snipers that were police. There weren't any security guards that were police. They were strictly traffic detail. Keep that in mind.
Roof, crawling with a rifle, right? The police were looking for him. They were circling the building. There were cop cars over there. But all the while, he's crawling up to the top. Now, pay very close attention to this line of...
Actually, let me back up just a hair. Now, this is considered a dead zone. The snipers are way over here, scoping out this area. Until he crests the peak of the roof right here, they won't be able to see him. They won't be able to know where he is. So from the time he gets on the roof until his head pops up over here, there's no way for the snipers to see him. That doesn't mean that the rest of Secret Service shouldn't have been alerted to everything that was going on and done something about him, an hour earlier. Anyway.
Police were looking for him. They were circling the building. There were cop cars over there. But all the while, he's crawling up to the top. Now, pay very...
Also, if you look right here, this is where the sniper team is, right here on this building. So there's the tree in the way, preventing a good view of this rooftop, especially where he is. So that's another reason why another team should be on this roof, because this tree provides protection for the shooter from the counter sniper team.
Very close attention to this line of sight, because it passes right over the first gentleman that got shot, right? And then right behind Trump in that corner, another shot hit that handrail, ricocheted, and bounced back, right? So just in that line of sight, you'll see. Now behind Trump here, you see both snipers, and they're looking over here, right, at what was happening. But if you notice the trees, it was through those trees, right? The first shot goes off, right? It goes through, it hits the first gentleman, and as you see on that second handrail behind Trump, it bounces and that injures and kills the second guy. Obviously, they kill him. That's that.
Take a look what happened.
And again, from what that lady said, she heard shooter behind these bleachers. But that being said, the trajectory of the bullet, if it hit this area, it would cause a blowout of dust going this direction. So maybe she heard an echo, maybe it was a ricochet she heard, or she is correct and there was another shooter. Difficult to say. We need a real thorough investigation that we can actually trust from an agency that's not completely politicized and has been actively trying to get Trump. Actually, there's one other thing. I'll back up a little bit. So right here, you see the spray out of whatever that was, dust, paint, human flesh. I don't know what it was. I think it's this guy that got hit. Did this guy not get anything? Yeah, there's the spray out of, kind of looks like he farted. Yeah, to me, that looks like the bullet came in and then hit something and caused a dust or gas cloud of something to spray out here. That's what it looks like to me. Again, I wasn't there. I'm just analyzing video footage. So yeah, it could be that it looks like he's holding the wound right there. So it maybe went through him, creating that gas cloud, and two people were hit, it looks like. But I'm pretty sure that looks like the same picture. And the other guy that's being brought out does not look like the one guy that was actually in the corner. And then there's the hydraulic that got hit. So yeah. Here is a call from the Butler Township Commissioner saying that the Secret Service director is lying, that the building the shooter was on was the responsibility of local PD. Let me just play that right now.
What prompted me to post and on the social media platform last night, and of course obviously talk to you today, is that our local Butler Township Police, their duties that were assigned to them, and we have an operational plan that details all that, were strictly traffic detailed. They were not required or not detailed to any security detail related to the event. It's strictly traffic to obviously to help people coming in and out of the event if there is an emergency, those type of things. We saw the number of people, the number of cars at the event, and
there's the tree that was obscuring the view for the sniper team to the building.
Was so frustrated and quite frankly hit my limit again last night when I saw, again, Secret Service says it was the responsibility of the local police department. That's absolutely not correct.
Yeah, the local police department is not the entity in charge of the safety and protection of a president or a former president. But once this started to happen, once this shooting began to unfold, the local officers did then try to assist, try to see if they could do anything, right?
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah. So yeah, they were strictly traffic detail. They weren't supposed to be guarding any buildings. They weren't supposed to be guarding literally anything. They were just making sure that cars got where they were supposed to go, or foot traffic or whatever. Dan Bongino just reported that the decision for the police counter sniper team to establish their position in a second-story window rather than on the high ground was made by the Secret Service advance team approximately a week prior to the event. Again, the police, they didn't have anything except for traffic detail for their responsibility. So is that a Secret Service counter sniper team in these windows? This is second story. This roof is first story that Thomas Crooks was on. So if they were looking out these windows, I don't know what part of the roof that they would be on, but I would assume it'd be this side since Trump's over here. But if they were on this side, they would have a view of Thomas Crooks. So the plot thickens a little bit more if they're on the second story of this building and he's over here. Why did they not see him if there was anyone there? Again, it's the fog of war. We don't know exactly what's going on. We don't know if anybody was there. I've heard rumors. I've heard reports that there was supposed to be someone on this roof, but he called in sick that day. Fog of war. We still don't know a lot of what's going on. All right. Here's something else from Dan Bongino, which he is an ex-Secret Service agent, so his insight in this regard, I think, is really, really useful.
Another piece of information I got this morning. The Slope story is total bullshit.
The Slope story, the head of the Secret Service, Director Cheadle, she said that the reason why there was no one on that roof is because it was too slopey. I don't know if she used the word slopey. I hope she did, because that would be hilarious. The slope was too great for a Secret Service or for anyone to be on there for their protection. But if you look at this, it's an incredibly gradual slope. And the counter sniper detail, they were on a building that had an even greater slope than this. So, like Dan Bongino says, hey, it's BS.
Dispute again happened earlier in the week about posting. But the slope of the roof, which was slight, I believe it was about 7 or 8 degrees, did in fact impede the line of sight from a couple of the sniper teams. I could not get a good look at this guy. Again, I don't make excuses for folks, okay?
And again, that's the dead zone. And until his head was up over the crest, the top of the roof, no one would be able to see him unless they had X-ray vision. But the moment his head popped up there, then they would be able to see him if they could get a glimpse of him through the tree that was obstructing their view, which again, if there's an obstruction to a view, that's a whole dead zone that's difficult for a counter sniper team. You need something to cover it from a different angle so that you know.
directly calling for Kim Chi to resign, and others, by the way. But apparently, the slope of the roof impeded the line of sight, which led to this 11-second or so delay from when the shooter took his shot and the CS team took the shot and took out the shooter. I also got some details. This is insane when I think about this. About this, apparently, the CS team, a lot of misinformation out there, the counter sniper team that took out the shooter was a Secret Service team.
So if you on that CS team that he's talking about, if you look at the video or the picture of them, it does say police on the back of them, but he's getting confirmation that it was a Secret Service counter sniper team.
The shot, ladies and gentlemen, what I was told this morning was one of the most difficult shots that any CS team has taken in a long time. They had obviously seconds to respond. They shouldn't have had to take this shot. I mean, that was a failure in advance. However, the shot, from what I heard, there was about a 9-inch window they had to shoot in from about 400 yards, and there was a tree in the way. And they still got the shot off. So that part, it's interesting. That, I don't think the details of that have been disclosed.
Yeah, so tree was in the way. I'm guessing that there was just enough of a view through the tree that they were able to, as he said, about a 9-inch window. So something like that he could see through the tree and get the target, which would be quite difficult, because if you hit a branch in the tree, that knocks the trajectory off on your round, and that might warn the shooter to duck or move or something, which will screw up your shot again to follow up, or your follow-up shot. So here's a little bit of interesting information. It might not mean anything, but it's still interesting. The shooter, Thomas Crooks, he was actually in a BlackRock commercial. The major, are they a hedge fund? Something like that. They've been buying up a lot of rental homes, and yeah, they're very financially connected. So he was in one of their commercials. Yeah, it says BlackRock right down there. Who we impact. That's a interesting Trump. Anyway, so interesting that a would-be assassin was in a BlackRock commercial just a year or two previous. So there have been some theories. I don't know if you could call it a conspiracy theory. There have been theories that there was a second shooter, and that he or she, don't want to be sexist, was actually on the water tower, which actually would provide a really good vantage point. And I think it's actually slightly further over, so I think it would miss the Jumbotron. I'm not 100% certain on that, though. Higher vantage point and slightly further away, but potentially would give you a better shot. That is so close. And there's the tree that the counter sniper team needed to shoot through. So it's possible, but
Guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow.
and we've seen that many times before. Is there anything in this video that I found interesting? I don't think so. So yeah, there's a thought that the water tower might have had a shooter on it. The FBI apparently had zero problems getting on the roof or walking around with a water hose, making it slick as they washed away evidence. Maybe they got all the evidence that they needed. Why would the FBI be washing the roof? Wouldn't that be just a private company that would be washing. Why would the FBI be washing a roof? That seems odd. Unless they're washing away evidence, and then that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I found that interesting. Here's Senator Marsha Blackburn. I just got off a briefing with Secret Service and FBI. I'm appalled to learn that the Secret Service knew about the threat prior to President Trump walking on stage. I have no confidence in the leadership of Director Cheadle and believe it is in the best interest of our nation if she stepped down from her position. My question is, why hasn't she already stepped down? She is receiving so many slings and arrows from everybody that she's got to have one heck of a hot seat that she's sitting in. But that being said, it seems like Mayorkas, who's her boss, is trying to protect her from Congress so she won't have to testify. We'll see if she actually does testify. I think it's Monday that she's scheduled to testify. So here's something else that's interesting. The firm that took the suspicious and enormous bet against President Trump. Austin Private Wealth Company that reportedly shorted 12 million shares of the DJT, that's a cryptocurrency, with a filing date of July 12th, made a huge bet that Trump's business value, is that DJT or is that might be a stock, business value would plummet. Guess who this company donates to? Here are a few from their website. ACLU, ADL Austin, Shalom Austin, Jewish Community Center, Camp Young Judea, Congregation Beth Israel, Austin Jewish Academy, and Hadassah. Don't know what that is all about, but here's something else. The firm that took the suspicious and enormous bet against President Trump's Truth Social stock, so it is a stock, one day before the assassination attempt, is Austin Private Wealth, the majority held by George Soros, Vanguard, and BlackRock. Alex Soros, the son of George Soros, infamously shared an Atlantic magazine cover image which featured a bullet hole in glass, followed by a picture of cash, which added up to the number 47, which would be Trump. If he is to be reelected. A message some interpreted as a cryptic death threat against President Trump. Here's something else about the building, but the building is just a building. I don't think it's anything. Matt Tardillo, retired Green Beret, prior law enforcement officer, who's an explosive expert, breaks down the significance of the assassin's transmitter found. So here he is. Let's pause it, start it over. Let's go to full screen.
Things just got more weird for the President Trump assassination attempt. Right down here below is a transmitter, and we're about to talk about why that is a huge flippin' deal. For those that don't know, my name is Matt Tardillo. I'm a retired Green Beret and prior law enforcement officer, and I happen to be an explosives expert on top of all that. So what does that transmitter have to do with the explosives found inside the vehicle, and what does it tell us about the suspect? So obviously he presses a series of buttons on the transmitter, which then goes towards the receiver. It then sends out an electrical impulse, which then runs through the charge and detonates it. Now that electrical impulse that's sent out by the receiver, or in this case, we're gonna call it the switch, is not enough to set off the main charge. That, my friends, is why electric blasting caps exist. Now, if that's the case and he actually had his explosive devices rigged up to an electric blasting cap, he could have acquired them one of two ways. The first way is he could have made them. Precursors are readily available at numerous places here inside of the United States, and truthfully, I've even had them sent to my front door off of Amazon. Now, he could have taken those precursors and mixed his own explosives out of it and made his own electric blasting cap. Only problem is, in order to do that, it requires a very precise formula, and it's highly volatile when you're making and drying it. Then he would have to pack the cap without blowing himself up, and so on and so forth. Manufactured caps are very closely tracked, so I highly doubt he got his hands on one of those. Now, the suspect is 20 years old, and last I checked, he does not exactly have an extensive background in chemistry. He'd also have to have a location to dry out the explosives after he manufactured them. And by the way, I want you to picture like a Breaking Bad laboratory. It doesn't have to be that extensive, but a lot of the same materials you see used in Breaking Bad to manufacture the meth is the same thing that he would be using in order to manufacture the explosives. It's chemistry. His parents would have seen that. They would have smelt it. They would have noticed. He lives at home, so he'd have to have a storage facility or somewhere else in order to make it. But again, it goes back into how the hell did the kid not blow himself up doing it? Because the temperatures have to be very exact. And if it gets too hot, you can freaking cause the whole thing to detonate right there on the spot. A lot of people are speculating and saying that because he doesn't have a social media profile, it's kind of weird. But I want you to look at it from a foreign actor's perspective. If you were going to be training somebody and giving them the means in order to do what this gentleman did, would you want them to have a social media platform? The answer is no, because all they have to do is make one dumbass comment and the whole thing is going to get tipped off to law enforcement. So you would want to recruit somebody like him who has been picked on in school, likely has a couple mental issues, but also has no real social media presence and likely gets his interactions online through different platforms like, I don't know, say 4chan or Reddit. Once they've got him recruited, then they just need to talk to him. Once they're talking to him, either through, emails, private messaging, whatever, right? There's a million different ways to do it. They don't even have to meet up with the guy. They can just give him a series of tasks. And then once he completes those tasks and they know he's good to go, then they can start dead dropping him the different things that he needed in order to conduct this attack. This whole thing looks shady as hell. Things just...
Yeah. So again, I don't know a lot. There are a lot of questions left to be answered. Without a thorough investigation, there's going to be millions of Americans for the next 50 years coming back to this going, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Okay, so going back to the other thing, the Austin Private Wealth. Since this is a Texas-based company, Attorney General Ken Paxton should investigate. And if you don't know anything about Ken Paxton, he's a bulldog. He's been really, really great going against the Biden administration on illegal aliens and other things. He's really good. Well, at least with one eye, because the other eye doesn't work. He's been so good that the Bush-backed the Texas legislature actually tried to have him impeached. And thankfully that impeachment failed, but he's been just solid. He's been great. If there are Bush family ties to Austin Private Wealth, that means there are intel community ties, because Poppy Bush was, I think he was the head of the CIA before he became vice president. If not head, he was very high up within the CIA. And we all know that Ken Paxton has no love for the Bush family dynasty. Again, at least partially because they tried to have him impeached. This I found interesting. I've done photography. Very unusual that a photographer uses a 1/8000th shutter speed FPS in broad daylight, unless you are intentionally trying to clearly capture something happening very fast, like a bullet blowing through someone's head, a bullet blowing someone's head clean off of their shoulders in great detail. this New York Times photographer knew something was going on or was going to happen. Otherwise, there would be no reason to have a camera setting in this configuration in these conditions. This did get a community note. Shutter speed is not just to capture fast objects, it's also used to turn down brightness. Since this photo is in full sun, it is common to have a high shutter speed. But 1/8,000th, that's pretty dang high shutter speed. And would they, well, yeah. So that might not mean anything, but it is something else to consider. So here's two images back to back just to show how close it came. And now again, he turned his head within 0.3 of a second of that bullet being fired. So it could be that as the guy pulled the trigger, Trump turned his head. So really, really close. The next one really shows it. Let's back up.
Take a look what happened. Take a look what happened.
Pop. So I don't know where the other 2 rounds went, but it looked like first round hit him, he went, ah, and then he went down. But you can see that it should have taken off the right side of his head. But just him turning ever so slightly, just like that. And this is called a wireframe, just so you know. It helps to be able to graph things like this out. So yeah, many people are calling it a miracle that he had some divine protection. Or it was just the most lucky / coincidental thing that Trump has ever had done in his life. One or the other. It really can't be anything else. Either he was incredibly lucky or it was divine help. Okay, to finish off, there's a few memes that I just thought were amazing. As Secret Service, we surveil all that the light touches. What about that building right over there? That's too slopey. You must not go, or you must never go there. Oh, the memes are wonderful. And then here's Secret Service not noticing, what's on the roof. Yeah, so again, lots and lots of questions, which we may never get answers for. So it'll become the new JFK, that people will just throw conspiracies around everywhere, and we'll have conventions about it, and people will be questioning and thinking about it, and for the next 50 or 60 years, we'll be going, is the government lying to us on this one too? And most likely they are, because the government feels that we are all too dumb to know the truth. Or they're complicit and they don't want us to know that they're guilty of allowing or trying to get a president killed. Anyway, that's what I have found. If you have anything that you'd like me to cover, please let me know. I'm trying to focus on Oneida County news, but when things like this happen, I gotta cover that too, because that's pretty amazing, crazy news. As always, like, share, subscribe. If you can follow me on Rumble or YouTube or both, I would be very appreciative of that. And I guess we'll see you on the next one. Bye.